for parents of children who are going through cancer, they were telling us that they often felt invisible. They felt like they were caught somewhere between advocating for their child and managing their own fears. So that gap in emotional support really became impossible to ignore. And
I myself am a cancer survivor, so I've had the experience of being told that I have cancer. And I know what that feels like as an adult. And then my mother was diagnosed with cancer about 10 years ago and passed away from it. Having seen the experience both as a patient and as a family member, and then going into it as a parent, I will say that the resources for children are amazing, but I think the gap still exists in supporting the overall family that's engaged with this child. She was in treatment. Hope was just making it through to the next day. But now, with almost 2 full years of distance, it means something different. It's aspiration, it's future.
Welcome to my podcast. And let's just talk about Cancer Hope Network, how it was founded, what you do, Beth. And then I want to hear Dena's story. And then hopefully we'll continue the conversation.
absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you and to your audience. So Cancer Hope Network is a nonprofit organization based in Chester, New Jersey. We are a national program, though. We were founded in 1981 by an oncology nurse out of Overlook Hospital in Summit, New Jersey.
Okay.
And she had patients who were approaching her regularly asking if she knew of anybody who had been through the same thing, who had been through the same treatment that they could speak with, because they felt like speaking to somebody who had been there and was on the other side of it would help them to feel better about what they were going through themselves and give them an opportunity to have some hope that there would be life on the other side of treatment. So she actually started our organization as a project of her local junior league, which was the Junior League of Elizabeth Plainfield. And over time, over a couple of years, we grew into an independent nonprofit organization. And that first year when we were founded, we helped 7 people connect with a trained mentor. And since then, we've helped almost 60,000 people across the country.
And see, Cancer Hope Network has a long history of obviously helping adult cancer patients and their caregivers. And so what gaps did you and your team see that you made, that you realized that you needed a new program in helping pediatric patients?
Yes, absolutely. Like you said, for decades, our program has been serving adults. But for parents of children who are going through cancer, they were telling us that they often felt invisible. They felt like they were caught somewhere between advocating for their child and managing their own fears. So that gap in emotional support really became impossible to ignore. And our Hopeful Hearts program is the way that we are helping to close that gap. So we actually officially launched the program in June of this year, 2025. We began recruiting mentors for the program late last year, and we opened the doors to support seekers in June. So it's been around for a few months now, and it is rapidly growing. And we are very excited to have people like Dena who are sharing her experience and giving back in such meaningful ways.
And Beth, what do you in particular, how do you serve in CHN?
I'm Cancer Hope Network's Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer. I've been with the organization since 2019.
Dena, we want to speak with you today about your experience. And from what I understand, when your daughter was diagnosed with cancer and how CHN helped you and how you partner with them today.
Yes, I was delighted when the opportunity to join the mentor program popped up on my Facebook feed, tends to do that way. And I jumped on the opportunity immediately. She's finished treatment just about 2 years ago now. So a year and a half when this all kicked up. And I am desperately looking for ways to create positive value from this experience that I don't wish on anyone. So yes, I'm excited to join this group.
How old your daughter was when she was diagnosed?
She was 9 and she turns 12 next week.
Okay. All right. And when she was diagnosed, was there a lack of that you felt that needed to be filled in at that time? Can you take us through that story?
Sure. So I have experience with cancer in a variety of ways. I myself am a cancer survivor, so I've had the experience of being told that I have cancer, and I know what that feels like as an adult. This was just a few years ago, so this is a pretty recent experience. And then my mother was diagnosed with cancer about 10 years ago and passed away from it.
Okay.
So I've had both the experience of being a survivor and then an immediate family member losing her to cancer. Having seen the experience both as a patient and as a family member, and then going into it as a parent, I will say that the resources for children are amazing and far exceed anything that I ever saw, either for myself or for my mother. So I am incredibly grateful that there's all sorts of people that are dedicated to making the kids' lives better, which is wonderful. But there is an extended family attached to these children. So I have another child, and it's really hard to make sure they get what they need. Even when you're doing your best, it's incredibly difficult. And then the parents, one thing that I think could have been done better is a way for the entire family to get the support that we needed, not just her. And that's the one thing I tell people, that if you're going to have to deal with childhood cancer, first of all, I don't recommend it. But secondly, know that it's not like dealing with adult cancer. There are resources that don't exist for adults. But I think the gap still exists in supporting the overall family that's engaged with this child.
Beth, can you talk about how CHN, Hopeful Hearts, stepped in and some of the services that were offered to Dena and Laura when the diagnosis was made? Can you take us through that?
Absolutely. So actually, Dena is part of our program as a peer mentor, and our program is there to fill a gap that Dena and others like her felt when they were caring for their child during their cancer experience. The Hopeful Hearts program was really born from listening. Parents like Dena would tell us that while their child's medical team provided excellent care and there were so many incredible resources for their children, what they longed for as parents was connection with another parent who had been there. And so that's really why the program exists. It's the gap that we exist to fill for somebody like Dena, whose child is living in post-treatment survivorship. What we offer there is mentors an opportunity to be part of a community. Mentors complete a comprehensive training program that goes over things like communication skills, confidentiality, boundaries, cultural sensitivity. And our goal is to prepare our mentors for the emotional weight that these kind of conversations can have, and to provide ongoing support and supervision so that each mentor feels supported as they support others. All of our mentors are carefully screened so that when we match them with parents who are seeking support, those parents know that they're speaking with someone they can trust.
And the program that you have to train your mentors, how long does that go on for?
So there's an initial live training, and then there's also a number of self-led training modules that our mentors complete.
Okay.
And then we offer ongoing training and support through our learning management system.
Dena, you have said that you wished when you were going through this process that you wished you had a mentor. Can you describe your experience being a mentor, what you're able to provide families that you wished you had received?
So there's all those daily challenges that you don't really understand until you're in it. And you don't understand.
Yeah.
Didn't even realize that I should ask somebody, what type of mattress cover can I bring in so I can actually sleep on the couch at the hospital? Because you can get away with not sleeping for a night or two, but you can't really for much longer than that. And how many bags can I bring in before I look ridiculous? And do I care if I look ridiculous? And structured luggage didn't work in our hospital room. Only flat bags could go into the closet. So those kinds of things are what I want to be able to share, this random information to somebody else, as well as just encouraging those around me and those dealing with the situation, that there are resources that you don't realize exist unless you ask, or you have to ask so many times before your brain can even process anyway. So if I could be another voice in the ear to say, hey, their social worker there go ask a social worker. They're going to have different resources because when you're in it, it's just your mental capacity is pushed well beyond any normal function.
I know of other organizations that also offer mental health treatment for their patients and their families who have a cancer diagnosis. Is that something that CHN also offers?
No, Cancer Hope Network, we do one thing and we do it well, and that's one-on-one peer mentorship. We work with many organizations that fill other gaps in support of cancer care. And when we have a patient, a caregiver, or a parent coming to us, we have trusted resources that we can refer them to.
Yeah. So when a diagnosis is unfortunately made for a child who has cancer, can you take me through the steps of how that parent is connected to a mentor and how the mentor works directly with the parents in terms of possibly guiding them through the system and how often that connection remains?
Sure. The process is very simple. For a parent who is seeking to be connected with a mentor, reach out via our website, which is cancerhopenetwork.org, Hearts. And there is an opportunity on that page to request a mentor. Once you request a mentor, we ask for some brief information on an intake form. And then the mentee is contacted by a member of our programs team, which is made up of healthcare and social work professionals. And they have a conversation with that staff member to really identify what it is they're looking for in a connection. Are they looking to connect with somebody whose child has the same diagnosis, or maybe is it related to treatment side effects or some other area of their life that they really would find benefit in connecting with another parent? That from the time a parent completes that intake form to the point in time where we're matching them with a mentor, it's usually within just a few days. And then the relationship between the mentor and mentee is determined between the two of them. They have one question because their child has maybe an upcoming procedure. They want to talk to somebody who's been there, whose child has been through the same procedure. And that conversation is enough and they feel supported. We have other parents who are looking for ongoing connection, and they might agree to a conversation, a text, a video call on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. It's really personalized to the needs of the support seeker.
Okay. Being familiar with some of the support groups at the various hospitals in New Jersey and even at my own employer system, this sounds like it's a bit more intimate, less scripted, where it's not as formal. It can be a text or a video call. It sounds like a bit more personalized. Are these services, are you a not-for-profit, or there's no insurance-based anything?
Correct. All of the support we provide is free and it's confidential. And we are not tied to any particular hospital. We do partner with hospitals and hospital systems to make sure that patients and caregivers in their communities know where to find us and have access, but we're not specifically tied to a specific hospital. And while hospital-based groups are wonderful resources, there can be some limitations because of geography and schedule. This is a very intimate type of program. It's flexible, it's one-on-one, and it's available to parents, to families across the nation. We have about 700 peer mentors in our overall peer mentor network, and we have over 100 alone in our Hopeful Hearts Parent Supporting Parents program.
Okay, so this is not just limited to New Jersey or the tri-state area. It is nationwide.
Correct.
And then how do you get your funding in terms of, obviously you need help and support to fund this wonderful program. How do you look for support?
So thank you for asking. Philanthropy is what makes our work possible. Every conversation that a parent has with a mentor is free because of donors who believe in our mission. And sustained funding ensures that we can recruit, train, and support our mentors to offer this lifeline to families, no matter their financial situation. Our philanthropy is a combination of donations from individuals. We are supported by grants, and we also have some fundraising events during the course of the year. In fact, on October 4th, we're very excited to be hosting our annual gala event in Boonton, New Jersey at the Knoll Country Club. That's an important fundraiser that helps us to support all of the work that we do.
Dena, having gone through cancer, you're a survivor yourself, and unfortunately having a parent who had cancer and your daughter. First, I wanted to know, how is Laura doing now? How is your daughter doing now?
She is great. She is a perfectly normal sixth grader in all the glory and less glory, more attitude that comes with it.
So she's in the throes of middle school now?
Yes.
Good luck to college.
Yeah, that seems years away, except it's not. We have an older child, and time moves differently as a parent.
Yes. It sounds like she is doing well and she's happy and healthy. And as a parent, having gone through this challenge, what does hope look for you now as a parent and then as someone who is a mentor to others who are going through these challenges?
While she was in treatment, hope was just making it through to the next day. It was very tactical. It was just survival based. We need to get out of the hospital after this treatment and get home and take a breath. But now, with almost 2 full years of distance, it means something different. It's aspiration, it's future. Our coping mechanisms over the last 2 years have to change, because initially when she finished treatment, it was wonderful and we're so happy and we're so tired and we're so emotionally deprived that it was just, how do we process? And so we processed by going on trips and buying everything that was cute. And 2 years later, that's not a sustainable model. So we have to change what recovery looked like again. And we have to change how we're addressing our day-to-day life. And hope also means that these scans that she's still in every 4 months, scan anxiety is a thing. And every time we go in, it's just fingers crossed. And we're hoping that this is, again, just another scan without a significant finding, and just there's no guarantees. There's never any, but it becomes more poignant when you've looked in the direction and seen what's coming the other way.
Having been through this, and then you were mentioning going through the anxiety of the scans, I did a podcast where it was a patient advocate. And I often find that with my own patients, especially now, healthcare has changed a lot. There's less intimacy. Doctors, practitioners are very much running and dealing with a volume of patients. And I often hear this across the board, whether it's from my friends or my own patients, where they just feel that there's a lack of support and that they often don't even have me on hand to run those questions by. How do you help the parents with these kind of issues? How do you help guide them as a mentor?
So I just reach out to my medical team. As far as scans and anxiety go, I am very open. I do not read herd charts.
Okay.
Do not look at the result. It's not worth it to me. They know, or they will know, that they need to just call me and explain to them, I do not have a medical background and Google terrifies me at this point. So they're just going to have to call. And that's what I would recommend, is take advantage of the resources available to you. Just because my chart exists does not mean everyone needs to use it every time.
Advocate for themselves and to make sure that they're in touch with their doctor or whoever is taking care of them is an important one. But do you often find that the parents relate to you that they don't have that support from the medical team? And how do you encourage them to get around that, having been through these hurdles yourself?
So we had a fantastic medical team with a ridiculous number of support staff that were available. And I have everybody's phone number and I have everybody's email, and I am not shy. I will ask for what I need. But I have learned from friends in different systems that was not their experience. So what we've done is just talk about common resources. Social workers tend to exist everywhere with probably slightly different function, but that's a great front door. So we can get access through the social workers. And so it's just a matter of, let's go down the list of who you know and you support, and whoever reaches back out or answers the phone, work with them.
the parents that you work with within New Jersey itself, or do you work nationwide?
So I'm going to kick this over to Beth, but I'm actually in Ohio.
You're in Ohio. Okay. So it sounds like you work nationwide.
I am not restricted to New Jersey.
Okay.
And that really is the beauty of our program. And it's the beauty of the technology and the tools that are available to us today versus what may have been available to us 20, 30, 40 years ago. Really can exist without borders and without geographic limitations and meet the needs of people regardless of where they're at. We know in the parent community, but just in the broader cancer community, so many people don't have access to supportive cancer care because they're limited geographically. Those people that live in, say, rural communities, where it's a 3-hour drive to their nearest cancer center or their nearest pediatric cancer center, a service like this that doesn't bind them or tie them to a physical location really fills a critical gap for them in their care and in their child's care. So we're very aware of that. And we're very grateful to exist in this time with those resources. In terms of our mentor base, Hopeful Hearts is very much spread out. We do have a pretty strong cohort of New Jersey-based mentors because we are based in New Jersey. Our headquarters is in New Jersey. And the majority of our staff and our team is here. And we were born here as an organization. And in terms of our wider pool of networks for other adult-facing programs and for caregivers, we do have a very strong base. I would say the majority of folks especially from our earlier trainings, are here in New Jersey, but we are now in over 40, and we're very proud of it. And proud to be New Jersey born and bred, proud to be homegrown here in New Jersey. I am a Jersey girl myself, but have never left my state. Love it here, but we are able to provide support across the country.
Of course. Back to you, Dena, being a parent and then having gone through this, can you describe to us when you're focused on your child, everything else goes out the door, your health, your needs, all of it. You become second to everything. And I often say, if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not able to take care of your child. In your experience, if you can talk to us about what that experience was like, and then maybe, Beth, you can tell us in that space how CHN helps parents to take better care of themselves.
Yes. As a full-time caregiver for a child, it is incredibly difficult and isolating. I also was working full-time during experience because, like many people, I carry the insurance through my job in my household. And I was a new associate at my company, so FMLA did not come into play. So I had to work with my company, who was wonderful. I'm incredibly grateful for them. But they allowed me to work from the hospital to whatever degree I could. Did not want to take advantage of that. I could not lose the job. So I was always trying to balance work and medical needs, and then my other child at home, and my husband and the dogs and everything like that. So, of course, my needs fell far by the wayside. So the therapist that I had seen off and on for years, I just didn't call her. And then one day I was able to get out for a walk with my friend, and I happened to mention some of my thought processes and some of my fairly dark thoughts. And she very much recommended I reach back out to my therapist, which was an excellent call because we all have these moments, but you don't want to act on some of these horrific ideas. So I was able, with that advice, having that outside perspective, to take a little bit more care of myself. But again, it was always, you're on the needle's edge of trying to get everybody stable and trying to keep my job and not letting anything fall down too much. And it was a perpetual challenge. And then once treatment ended, I ended up in the ER with different issues, and my health dropped, and just all that post-treatment time that we don't really talk about as much was very impactful as well.
Okay. And then, Beth, how does CHN help parents through this time? What services are maybe offered or guidance that is offered for this stage?
Our mentors are there to remind parents who are caring for their child through that self-care isn't selfish, it's survival. And when they're there to share their own experiences, our mentors can really help normalize the challenges of caring for a child through cancer and encourage
Yeah.
parents to take even small steps towards rest. Knowing another parent understands what you're going through can really help lift the guilt that parents face and help to reinforce the importance of caring for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you're doing wonderful work, wonderful work. In the near future, which types of groups do you hope to be able to reach? Sounds like you've built a great foundation with your adult and pediatric patients, but what groups do you hope to reach that we may not have focused on?
Sure. For the purpose of this conversation, we've really focused on our Hopeful Hearts program.
Yes.
Beyond providing support to parents in that pediatric cancer community, we're also already providing culturally and linguistically accessible support to Spanish speakers through our CHN and Espanol program, as well as support for people who are navigating participation in clinical trials through our Talking About Clinical Trials program. We're also in the process of expanding the support that we provide to other underserved groups in the supportive cancer care community, including young adults. We all know that, unfortunately, the incidence of cancer diagnoses in young adults is on the rise, and young adults really do need support. And this type of support is something that is, again, free. It's accessible. It's available when you need it and how you need it. We also provide support and are continuing to grow the support that we provide to people who live in rural areas with limited access to supportive cancer care because of geographic boundaries, as well as families who are impacted by rare cancer. So this whole program talking about parents of pediatric cancer patients, these are caregivers. Our broader program really focuses in on the well-being of caregivers more broadly. I myself was a caregiver to my mom, who's a 2-time cancer survivor, and I didn't know that this type of support was available or accessible to me. So making sure that caregivers know that we are here for them, whether they're caring for a child or a spouse, a loved one, a friend, a coworker, whatever that looks like. Caregiving isn't just limited to that person who lives in the home with you. So making sure that people know that we're here, that this resource is available, it's free, it's confidential.
And how is most of the outreach done? Is it directly through the hospital systems? How do you reach people outside to increase your awareness,
Sure.
besides being on this podcast?
Thank you. This is a very important way that we do reach people.
Yeah.
But yes, we do reach people through relationships with hospital, relationships with individual practitioners, whether we're talking in the pediatric community or otherwise. We also do outreach and participate in cancer conferences and events. We try to be where patients are. So that can also look like at work. We do have a program where we partner with companies through their corporate human resources programs or through individual employee resource groups to bring our program into the workplace so that if an employee is impacted by cancer, either themselves or having to care for a loved one. So many of us, as Dena was saying, you have to work while you're dealing with this because your medical care depends on your insurance. And so making sure that we're meeting people where they're at is really important. So our Benefits of Hope program, which is that opportunity to bring our program into the workplace, is another way that we're reaching people. But there's community events, there's hospital events, there's industry events. And then obviously we do all of the advocacy work. Our director of programs and advocacy is out in the community regularly, really driving home the message of the importance of peer mentorship and how this type of support can help to improve the quality of life for people going through cancer.
Of course. You mentioned previously certain groups of people that you would like to help. What different programs may be upcoming within CHN that we would love to hear about?
Sure. So the ones that I spoke about that I really hope that people will take advantage of and learn more about really our Cancer Hope Network and Espanol program. Rates of cancer diagnoses in the Latino community are going, there's projections of 130% or more in cancer diagnoses in the Latino community. So making sure that Spanish-speaking people have access to support that is culturally and linguistically accessible, that takes into consideration the cultural nuance of their experience is so important to us. And our programs team includes native Spanish speakers who stand
Okay.
to provide support from the moment you connect with our organization. Our website is available in Spanish. We do offer our peer mentor training in Spanish as well. So, we've really taken that very seriously and want to make sure that Spanish speakers know that we can provide that support in the way that they are looking for it. And then also our Talking About Clinical Trials program is very important. So many people don't understand the clinical trials experience, even from the basic level of understanding that a clinical trial in cancer care doesn't mean placebo versus the cure. Even just breaking down that initial barrier of understanding that it's standard of care versus the trial drug can really help people make informed decisions about their care and to best advocate for themselves and their needs. So that's another program that currently exists, and our mentors who are part of that Talking About Clinical Trials program have been through a trial themselves, and they receive additional training to be there to provide appropriate support to people who are currently either considering or going through a trial themselves.
Okay. So it sounds like there is education that is provided, because a lot of people are not aware. They're like, what's the purpose? I might end up in the placebo arm and it'll just be a waste of my time. So that's great that you do help educate people when it comes to that.
When I talk to people about my experience with childhood cancer, there are two things that I try and address. First of all, take advantage of the resources available to you. There are so many resources, and you cannot absorb the information on your own. So make sure that you're asking for help and taking the help when it's offered. And then secondly, give yourself the grace to fall apart, to take some time, to miss things. We didn't realize at the beginning of this process that when my daughter couldn't swallow pills, that meant we were dealing with hours every day trying to get liquid medication in her over her objections. And then once it finally clicked that we could ask for somebody to help her learn how to swallow pills, our experience went from 6 hours a day to 3 minutes. And it was just a huge jump. So it's taking advantage of the resources and then allowing yourself the grace that we give to other people, and generally not to ourselves, to do what you need to do to get through this situation in as healthy way as you possibly can.
That's great. Honestly, I love that. And I'm so glad that you said all of that, because I think to our listeners who may be going through something very challenging, I think that can inspire them to be more assertive in asking for help when they might not think that help exists.
Absolutely. Soma, when we were preparing for this interview, one of the questions that you had shared was, what was one lesson that we as an organization have learned from the families and mentors?
Yeah.
And it was a very good question, and it really made me think. And I have to say that the most important lesson that we've learned, it's simple, but it's incredibly profound. Listening is healing. Families don't always need someone to fix their problems. Any of us, we don't necessarily need someone to come in and swoop in and fix our problems, but all of us need someone who understands, someone who can validate our feelings, and somebody who can stand beside us. And that truth really shapes everything that we do at Cancer Hope Network.
Yeah. I think it goes back to the loneliness that we experience when we are scared and we're confronting a new diagnosis, or our loved one is, and the fright and the loneliness that ensues from that. And sometimes you don't need someone to sweep in and say, okay, you're going to do this and this. It's just holding their hand perhaps, or possibly just looking them in the eye and just listening to what they have to say. So that sometimes makes all the difference. As a physician, there are times when there may not always be a medication that I can offer, or it may not be suitable for the person to be on that medication, which is available, but that might not be for them. But listening to them talk about their frustrations and their fear and their experiences often serves right in that moment. So grateful to have you on this show. And secondly, I was not aware of your services. And so I will definitely, as a physician, make sure that I broadcast that to my colleagues as well as my patients themselves. I hope that this podcast will also serve to make people aware. I started this podcast a year ago, and it's just increased so much. I'm so grateful for it. So I do hope that the podcast itself will be able to reach out to people who are in need of these services and then can tell other people who are in need as well.
Thank you. We're so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for having us. Thank you for giving us a platform to share our message. Dena, we are so very grateful to you for all that you do and for being there for those people that are going through this experience. So thank you. Very grateful.
So if my listeners wanted to find you on your website and social media, where would they look?
Our website is cancerhopenetwork.org. That's our broader organization-wide website. If you're specifically looking for the Hopeful Hearts program, if you're a parent who is facing a pediatric cancer diagnosis, that would be cancerhopenetwork.org/Hopeful Hearts. You can also call us at 877-HOPE-NET. And we do have social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Okay, excellent.
We are, again, very grateful.
Thank
so
you.
much for your
So am I.